Early birds, great to see you. I haven't seen you for a long time and I get a full vista on my screen. I'm going to mix up my evaluation a little bit so that I concentrate on evaluators perhaps more than other functionaries. So I'm going to start with Stephen, the first evaluator, who talked about eye contact, picked it up in Daniel's speech and had such good eye contact himself. He threw in good body language as well and observed it in the speaker. I would suggest, with so much to say in evaluation, that Stephen abandons the long preamble. He doesn't need to introduce so much about being an evaluator before he actually gets on with the job. He demonstrated points, which is always very useful, and I have a suggestion for Stephen to move away from using commendation and recommendation and just walking the walk, which he does so well. It gets a bit boring to hear those two words which form the way we give evaluations. Catalina, the second evaluator, did very good signposting of what she wanted to say at the moment. Although I did worry that there was going to be too much in that evaluation to fill the time. And on that idea of time, there was a long time spent on talking about that first element of the speech, which at the beginning, Catalina said that Mark had handled so well. So my suggestion would be, if something has been done well, don't linger on it. And it was quite amusing in a way that that factor was time. Time is short. Sabrina is a very seasoned Toastmaster, but had the very difficult job of evaluating Taz. Very, very warm delivery, very caring delivery, something that we need to practice so hard with these Zoom meetings is keeping the eyes on the lens. And that's something Sabrina needs to work on, because her eyes not only were going up to the left, or her right, as it happened to be, very bad at knowing left and right on Zoom, but also when she was thinking, her eyes were sort of wandering around the room. So to maximize the benefit to the audience, try to keep the eyes on that lens, awful as it is. Also, a suggestion is to breathe into a pause, to eliminate words like kind of that crept into the delivery. However, it was a very good evaluation in a difficult situation. Robert, the table topic evaluator, always very good at picking up detail, and I loved him picking up entertainingly surreal about the speaker. Very, very rich vocabulary. It makes so much addition to what one says if one can use words like that. And adding on to that, he has such a descriptive face. One suggestion is one that I know Robert is aware of too, is the notes, because he was looking down rather a lot of the time at his notes, and then he even gave us a little show of them as they whizzed across our screens. Definitely something to bear in mind watching Robert is his vocal variety. It's very, very skillful and very compelling. Clodagh, our linguist, also very astute in watching everybody, listening to everybody, of course, much more important as a linguist. She had done fantastic research into language, as she demonstrated, bringing to our attention that social distancing is not a new phrase. I would suggest to Clodagh, though, that she's just slightly less relaxed as she speaks, because this is still somewhere where you want your weight, not your physical weight, but your metaphorical weight to count. And that leaning on the desk is just perhaps a little too relaxed. However, it shows one's authenticity as well, not to be sniffed at. Lynn, our Toastmaster. I really enjoyed the fact that Lynn was teaching us all in a very user-friendly way in how she presented as a Toastmaster by researching what people needed to learn and what people had learned and how they'd learned it. And that was so valuable. You can hear a lot of vocal variety in Lynn's speaking, and she's very natural to how she is. A challenge to Lynn is to try and change her style sometimes because she's settled in that style, but experimenting with even more humor perhaps, or I don't really know. I will work on it for a later stage and deliver it to her personally. Our table topic master, Richard, was very concise, very apt, and had fantastic table topics. He was apposite, he was flexible because he had to forfeit some of his plans, but that was really enjoyable. Armando and his timekeeping clocks was fantastic. What a simple way of making an analogy on the importance of time and timekeeping in different time zones. He was animated and he smoothly presented. And I'm looking at him now because I pinned him, so I know my timing. Next, I'm going to talk about President Paul. Very good to have a personal story, particularly as a president, to set the tone for the morning. And it was interesting, well delivered, and I got that sense of there's an American feeling in the club because, of course, your host or our host was American as well, or had an American accent. However, I loved his eye contact. Something that is good for a president to do is perhaps to set just a little bit more context about the Toastmaster meeting in conjunction with I'm having a little mental block myself today, the Toastmaster of the day, so that between them, if they're guests who don't know anything about Toastmasters, they're familiarized just a little bit more. But that was a very good opening. And your guest host was so warm, so embracing. I felt right there, relaxed and charmed to be in this meeting. And I think that I must now hand over to your president. Thank you for inviting me today.